Maine. She tells me to press the buttons. All right. Welcome to Resistance Chicks. Michelle will be here shortly. We have so much to cover, and I was going to go live 2 nights ago on the 17th and try to talk about the squad and Donald Trump and everything. But if you guys could say some prayers. Our cousin's dog, Nemo, who I love dearly. We all love dearly. My cousin's little son, 11-year-old, loves dearly. It's his dog. He got lost from our house 2 nights ago when he got hit by a car. We have a lot of news to cover, and I hate to start with some bad news. Michelle and Kansas and I, we've been hiking in the woods while over this. Again, I think the Lost and Found post has had over 700 shares on Facebook. We have everyone looking for this dog. I've had people spend hours driving for this dog. I think he's in the woods somewhere. I don't think that he's injured badly because he took off running so fast that we couldn't catch him. He just wanted to be free for a moment. So Nemo, wherever you're at, we love you. Please come home and go to a human because you are microchipped. All right. So this week, I wanted to play some snippets from this hearing that Ted Cruz put together in the Senate. And we're going to cover Ilhan Omar. She married her brother. Some breaking news on that. There was a Trump rally in North Carolina, and after the Trump going back and forth with, they're called the Squad now, the Socialist Squad. They're the Justice League, the Justice Democrats, but they're like the villains. I mean, just look at them. They look like villains. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what color of skin you are. But they look like villains. It's in their eyes. I have brown eyes. So there. Anyways. But I want to go back a snippet here in time and talk about Ted Cruz's Google hearing, because they had this Google exec, and they all lied through their teeth. It's unbelievable. It's so obvious that they're lying. But Ted Cruz really grilled them. I don't know if anything is going to come out of this hearing, but what really got me was Prager University has been singled out and systematically demonetized, and have their videos put under parental or whatever restriction. And one of them that is under restriction, meaning there are certain people like schools and parents for their kids have YouTube on restricted mode. We have a couple of our videos that are under restricted mode, but if we were bigger, probably most of them would be, because everything we say is probably restricted according to them. But the CNN and MSNBC can say the exact same words, the exact same stories, but they're mainstream news, so they're not restricted. So I'm going to play a couple of snippets here.
The senior leadership at Google, does it lean left or does it lean right?
Senator, senior leadership, that the whole team consists of people from a variety of different perspectives, from outside of the United States, from American.
Mr. Baccia, you're doing something rather remarkable, which is you're managing to be less candid than Mark Zuckerberg. Mr. Zuckerberg, when he testified before this committee, admitted Silicon Valley is overwhelmingly liberal, and anyone operating in the realm of simple reality would acknowledge that. Would you agree with that?
Senator, I go back to 100,000 people, 70, 80 different countries, leadership teams pulled from all over the world. I don't think it's a matter of easy caricature. The days when we were just a Silicon Valley company.
Let's focus on some simple data. It's where data is helpful. I did an FEC analysis in 2016 of senior executives at Google, people who had the title of some form of executive, vice president, or director. Found at least 88 unique senior officials at Google who made contributions to the Hillary Clinton campaign. 88. Do you know how many senior executives at Google made contributions to the Trump campaign?
Senator, it's not my business to look into that.
Care to field a guess? 0. Goose egg. Not a single one. this ain't close, that you can't say, gosh, I don't know anything about the politics here. That is disconnected from reality. Let's look at another example. Senator Blackburn asked about the advisory council that you put together on artificial intelligence. One of the people on that advisory council was Kay Coles James, who was the head of the Heritage Foundation.
Sir.
You worked at the Heritage Foundation,
I did.
I believe you said. Do you consider the Heritage Foundation some fringe organization?
No, Senator, I consider it a conservative organization.
So 2,500 Google employees signed a petition to have Ms. James removed from the council. And they said, quote, by appointing James to the ATEAC, Google elevates and endorses her views, implying that hers is a valid perspective worthy of inclusion in its decision-making. This is unacceptable. So you have 2,500 employees at Google saying that Ms. James, who, by the way, is an African-American woman, was one of the first women to desegregate the Richmond public schools. 2,500 Google employees saying that her view is not valid or worthy of inclusion. Google, in response to this, dissolved the entire committee. Do you understand when you see that kind of bias saying a conservative African-American woman's views are not valid and not worthy of inclusion, that the American people would say, these guys are silencing voices they disagree with?
Senator, the 2,300 amounts to something around 2% of the Google employees.
But Google acted on their recommendation.
No, Senator.
Dissolved the committee.
We did not, Senator. What happened in that situation was it was a committee that consisted of a number of members. As time progressed, a number of members of the committee, other than Ms. James, decided to fall off the committee, to withdraw from the committee.
So is it your testimony, Mr. Bate, because I'm finding this difficult to credit? Is it your testimony that Google did not dissolve the committee because your employees were mad that anyone right of center was included?
We dissolved the committee, Senator. I think we were clear at the end of the day that it was not going to be viable to continue the council, given what we were seeing happening with other members of the committee.
In a March 18 email to at least 17 other Google employees, Google employee Liam Hopkins stated that, quote, PragerU, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro et al. Are all Nazis, this is a quote, are using dog whistles. He further suggested that Google isolate this, quote, far-right content. Is it your judgment that Mr. Prager, Mr. Peterson, and Mr. Shapiro are Nazis?
No, Senator.
At least two of the three, Mr. Prager and Mr. Shapiro, are Orthodox Jews. Are you familiar with any Orthodox Jews who are Nazis?
No, Senator.
Is that not a horrifically offensive, nutty statement?
Senator, we have 100,000 people in the company, and there are...
So obviously he came prepared because he knew that a lot of these things had been leaked. He knew that there was going to be a lot of talk. And so he came to say, there's a bunch of people who work for us, and Google, we're just Google, and we can't be responsible for what everybody says. Now, I can see where their line of thinking is going, because they are trying to cover their tracks, and they put this conservative guy up as their token non-liberal, because obviously he said he worked at the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative-leaning organization, and that's why they picked him to spin the web of lies for. And it's almost like when you hire, unfortunately, when they used a Jewish person to go and put the other Jewish people in concentration camps. I'm not saying that it's the equivalent at all. It's just an example of when you have an informant or somebody who informs on, or within the group is what I'm saying. And that's what this guy is. He's very disingenuous. He's not honest, and he's not forthcoming, and nobody would want to be his friend.
5, 7 times the number of people work in Congress. We have...
but if the Trump administration or somebody had... The left goes crazy if you have somebody... Oh my gosh. CNN had Richard Spencer on to try to paint Trump as a racist. Trump doesn't like Richard Spencer. He's not part of his group. But, oh my gosh, because Richard Spencer changed from being some sort of crazy leftist to like this white supremacist, which is, it's a joke. He's an actor. Then somehow they get to be, they have to be commingled. Now, with this guy's just trying to say, hey, it's just what our employees. Well, what are you doing about it? Can't you just see there's a huge amount of bias? What are you doing about these employees who are signing this petition?
People who will say things on
there were
chat rooms and other things.
Google employees on that email. Did even one of them object to this characterization?
I don't know whether they did or not, Senator. We have a lot of these chat rooms that go on. People say things in chat rooms that certainly don't reflect the views of the company. It's not unlike many other workplaces around the world where people may say things.
You have 100,000 employees. Who is watching what all these other employees? They're the ones writing your algorithms. They're the ones deciding how to rank people. They're the ones deciding how to monetize people. And you don't have some sort of all-seeing, knowing fairness guy at the top going over your 100,000 employees. So if these guys are still employed, then they are making sure that in their job, they are, since we know that these guys are Nazis, we need to censor them. And it is happening. We know because we experience it on YouTube.
Don't reflect the views of the leadership team and management, where, it is what it is.
Do you understand why people would be skeptical of Google's judgment and the radical politics of Google's employees when you believe Orthodox Jews like Mr. Prager and Mr. Shapiro are secretly Nazis?
Again, Senator, this is a statement that was made by an individual employee on some chat room board.
Google executive Jen Janai was videoed saying that Google is, quote, training its algorithms with an eye to prevent something like 2016 from happening again. Is that what Google is working to do? And here's the quote. We're also training our algorithms like if 2016 happened again, would the outcome be different?
So, Senator, this was taken, I believe, from the Project Veritas videos where...
Okay, he's going to spin that
you're quoting here. And
questions from this committee with real numbers and specific hard data.
Okay, so there's that one. This witness, a respected academic, publicly supported Hillary Clinton in 2016. Nevertheless, he's deeply dismayed with his research showing that Google was deceptively manipulating millions to vote for her. If they do it again in 2020, he predicts they could flip 15 million votes. 15 million votes.
Who the Hillary Clinton campaign's #1 financial supporter was in the year 2016?
I think I do, but please remind me.
The #1 financial supporter of the Hillary Clinton campaign in the 2016 election was the parent company of Google, Alphabet, who was our first witness. They were her #1 financial donor, and your testimony is, through their deceptive search methods, they moved 2.6 million votes in her direction. I would think anybody, whether or not you favor one candidate or another, should be deeply dismayed about a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires having that much power over our elections to silently and deceptively shift vote outcomes.
Again, with respect, I must correct you. The 2.6 million is a rock bottom minimum. The range is between 2.6 and 10.4 million, depending on how aggressively they used the techniques that I've been studying.
He's going to repeat himself, so don't worry, I interrupted him. Donald Trump won the popular vote. Just tell yourself that. Donald Trump won the popular vote. And he probably won other states, too. He probably swept the country. What happens with Google's algorithm, there's a lot of things that this researcher goes into to explain how Google manipulates. It's simple search results like the autofill. Remember, Hillary Clinton emails or corruption wouldn't autofill on Google. They would on DuckDuckGo. They would on Bing. They would on, I believe, what else did I use at that time? Does Mozilla Firefox have one? Microsoft has a browser. Microsoft has a browser, and every time you, and if you did, they would autofill. But not on Google.
Yeah, for 6.5 years.
Wow. Could you just say that again, please? Just
the 2.6 million is a rock bottom minimum. The range is between 2.6 and 10.4 million votes, depending on how aggressive they were in using the techniques that I've been studying, such as the search engine manipulation effect, the search suggestion effect, the answer bot effect, and a number of others. They control these, and no one can counteract them. These are not competitive. These are tools that they have at their disposal exclusively.
If any headline comes out of this hearing, that should be it.
I think that is the most important headline, and obviously the news is not going to talk about it. These votes were definitely swayed, for sure. I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit more of the questioning here from that.
Powerful and incredibly concerning. And if anyone draws news out of this hearing, I would encourage you to review very carefully Dr. Epstein's testimony. And I'd like to take a moment to make clear several things. First of all, as I understand your background, you're not a Republican and nor are you a conservative. Is that accurate?
That would be an understatement.
And indeed, you're the former editor-in-chief of Psychology Today.
Correct.
So you're a respected academic. You testified before this committee that Google's manipulation of votes gave at least 2.6 million additional votes to Hillary Clinton in the year 2016. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I want to make sure I understand. You personally supported and voted for Hillary Clinton.
I was a very strong public supporter of Hillary Clinton, yes.
So you're not dismayed that people voted for her, but your testimony is that Google is, through bias in search results, manipulating voters in a way they're not aware of.
On a massive scale. And what I'm saying is that I believe in democracy, I believe in the free and fair election, more than I have any kind of allegiance to a candidate or a party.
And looking forward, if I understood your testimony correctly, you said in subsequent elections, Google and Facebook and Twitter and big text manipulation could manipulate as many as 15 million votes in a subsequent election?
In 2020, if all these companies are supporting the same candidate, there are 15 million votes on the line that can be shifted without people's knowledge and without leaving a paper trail for authorities to trace.
Now, you described the Go Vote reminder, and you said it wasn't a public service announcement, but rather manipulation. Can you explain how? I'm not sure everyone followed the details of that.
Well, sure. If on Election Day in 2016, if Mark Zuckerberg, for example, had chosen to send out a Go Vote reminder, say just to Democrats, and no one would have known if he had done this, that would have given that day an additional at least 450,000 votes to Democrats. And we know this without doubt because of Facebook's own published data, because they did an experiment that they didn't tell anyone about during the 2010 election. They published it in 2012. It had 60 million Facebook users involved. They sent out a Go Vote reminder, and they got something like 360,000 more people to get off their sofas and go vote, who otherwise would have stayed home. The point is, I don't think that Mr. Zuckerberg sent out that reminder in 2016. I think he was overconfident. I think Google was overconfident, that all these companies were. I don't think he sent that out. Without monitoring systems in place, we'll never know what these companies are doing. But the point is, in 2018, I'm sure they were more aggressive. We have lots of data to support that. And in 2020, you can bet that all of these companies are going to go all out. And the methods that they're using are invisible. They're subliminal. They're more powerful than most any effects I've ever seen in the behavioral sciences. And I've been in the behavioral sciences for almost 40 years.
You know, our Democratic colleagues on this committee often talk about what they view as the pernicious effect of big money and big corporate dollars. What you are testifying to is that a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires and giant corporations are able to spend millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars collectively, massively influencing the results of elections. And there's no accountability. You said, we don't know. We have no way of knowing if Google or Facebook or Twitter sends its Democrats or Republicans or how they bias it, because it's a black box with no transparency or accountability whatsoever. Am I understanding you correctly?
Senator, with respect, I must correct you.
Please.
If Mark Zuckerberg chooses to send out a go vote reminder just to Democrats on Election Day, that doesn't cost him a dime.
Fair enough. Do you happen to know who the Hillary Clinton campaign's #1 financial supporter was in the year 2016?
I think I do, but please remind me.
Whether or not you favor one candidate or another should be deeply dismayed about a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires having that much power over our elections to silently and deceptively shift vote outcomes.
Again, with respect, I must correct you. The 2.6 million is a rock. 0.6 million is a rock effect, the answer bot effect, and a number of others. They control these, and no one can counteract them. These are not competitive. These are tools that they have at their disposal exclusively.
If any headline comes out of this hearing, that should be it. Senator Hirono.
I have just one clarifying question for...
Okay, so there was a lot more to
Thank you
this
to the
hearing.
viewers. We're so glad that you're here, that you find us, because you obviously have to diligently seek us out and find us to be able to watch us on Fridays and Sundays. So thank you for that. 107 Milford, Ohio 45150. If you send us your stuff, we will read them on air. I haven't checked it in a while. I need to go and do that. So we love you. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory.
Philip married a brother.
And that's
Which
true.
she did.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Good night, guys. God bless.
I was cold.